Hello, my dear friends. Luiz Lima here, broadcasting from Orlando, Florida. This is Spiritism A Closer Look. You are on Kardec Radio. We do Spiritism A Closer Look every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. And every week we bring a different topic. Sometimes we have friends with us, sometimes we have interviews. So we try to pick a range of different subjects. You can suggest subjects as well. So feel free to. Tonight, we're going to take a closer look at afflictions. Afflictions is something that's simply out there, we could say easily. It looks like we are all immersed in this world of afflictions and suffering also. So, we need to look at a little bit at the reasons why that is happening, at least an overview, because it's a long subject. We could be talking here for hours, actually. So let's take a quick look on this thing, different reasons. Because afflictions are, some people are afflicted because of one particular reason, some other for something completely different. Interestingly, two different people reacting to the same circumstance at the same time have different reactions. So some could be afflicted by that situation or circumstance, and others could just, that could just mean nothing for them. And why is that? Two things. First of all, we have free will, but that's not the main reason. The main reason is we all have a spiritual history that started when we were created simple and ignorant. So we have different paths all the way to this moment, and that path is created by living different experiences, life after life after life, different incarnations and reincarnations. So we get to this point today where my personal spiritual history is not the same as yours, so we cannot react. We can. Well, it is not expected that you and I react to the same situation exactly the same way. That would be expected maybe in the animal kingdom in certain species, but not us, not for humans. So uh, even to support the afflicted one, it's interesting because if you are a person, let's just say, for example, trying to overcome degenerative disease, let's say cancer, you are living through that. You have your personal experience on how to deal with that. You might not even be the first time you're doing this. You might have happened in past lives, but I'm not even getting in there. So if you're going through this, you have the basic knowledge and experience to help others that just getting into it, those who are just, let's say, diagnosed with the same thing. You see, your experience, my experience, can be used for in favor of others. We can help other people with our personal experiences. So, going through afflictions puts us in a position to help others. Isn't that interesting? In the Spirit's book, Allan Kardec asks the spirits, "What are the reasons for reincarnation?" And they answer a straight answer, so we can get better, life after life, basically. But they add something else, and it's we usually don't pay attention to the second paragraph, which is still part of the answer, where the Spirit says, it is also reincarnations, series of reincarnations allow us to be prepared to do our part in the creation. Isn't that interesting? Who is going to help those with cancer, for example? Of course, there's the physical part, the medical team, and professionals in the healthcare industry. That's one thing. But on the other hand, who is going to help you emotionally as a spirit going through this. Those who have lived, they are in a better position to do that part on the creation. That's interesting. And we usually don't consider that, don't pay attention to that. So going through afflictions is the same thing. It has two reasons for us. One is for us to get better. So we get afflicted by something. We want to overcome that circumstance, that situation. We don't want to go back into it. That's the purpose of the experience, learn from it. And it also puts us in a position to help others that are going through or starting to go through the same thing that we did or we're undergoing. So afflictions in general, we could say they have two sources. One is these are reactions to something that we did in this life in the past or in a past life, but it's a reaction to something that we did. And we should know that. If we don't know, we're going to get afflicted. When we know, we don't get afflicted anymore because we just know, oh, okay, that's a reaction. And it's interesting, the level of advancement and knowledge. And that's the second reason. It happens because our lack of knowledge. We don't have all the experiences possible. Of course, if we did, or when we do, we are going to be perfect spirits. To be a perfect spirit means we would have been through every single possible experience, good and bad, all types of anything possible. So these afflictions, they have these two sources to help us undergo or offset, per se, wrongdoings in the past and to learn new experiences. So think about this, for example, a thief. Okay, so let's say somebody's going to steal something. So usually what the thief does is, he has something in mind, which is a strategy to steal something. I don't know, a cell phone, for example. So there's some engineering, okay, some structured line of thought to be able to put his hand or her hand on that cell phone and walk away with it. However, however, the thief knows ahead of time he's not going to be that if he's caught, he is in trouble. He's going to undergo adversity and affliction. However, even if he is never caught, his mind will always going to be, running from it. So he's going to be afflicted. Even if not physically, he might, live his whole life from that point on without being caught. But in his mind, he keeps praying, like praying. He keeps praying himself because of that. That's an affliction. It's a reaction to something that was done. And he knew all along that that would happen ahead of time. You don't have to steal first to know after. No, when your strategy of using the example here, when you're strategizing, I'm gonna, steal that cell phone. You're already strategizing what you're gonna do after that. How you're gonna pass through, the adversity that's coming along. It is a known thing and it's part of the strategy. Still, you can go in and you can, steal, and then affliction comes your way. And that's for all of us, myself included, anybody. So why so much affliction in this planet that we said in the beginning? Well, we gotta look at the planet first. Why are we here? And the reason is this is a planet is called or classified as trials and expiations. Trials and expiations. So, in a planet of trials and expiations, we are gonna have to go through difficult times. We are going to have to kind of face our past. Our past meaning a past life, not necessarily this life. So, what exactly it means to be on a planet or on a place of trials and expiations? It means that we have reached a stage of evolution that requires us to offset our wrongs of the past. Let me try to explain this to you. Let's say that we were real cavemen, living 20,000 years ago, 200,000 years ago, 300,000 years ago. We would do wrong things, but we would not be required to offset those things. For example, hunting. We would kill animals, even make sacrifices in thousands of years ago, but we were not in a position to still to offset or starting to offset those wrongs of that situation. To offset that, it's gonna come later. It will come. Anything wrong that we do, we're gonna have to offset in a way or another, sooner or later. But there's a time for that, because to offset, you need to understand that it's time to do that. So certain things that we did way, 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 way in the past, we are going to offset them now, because now we understand that we shouldn't do this or that, and consequently, we should not have done this or that. And the subject, so we are subject to the circumstances that will give us the opportunity to make the right choice. That's how affliction helps us. Spirit Lacordaire in the Gospel according to Spiritism, he has a very interesting phrase. He says, we need to suffer well. Suffer well doesn't mean suffer, I want to suffer. No, no. It means suffering is coming along. Okay, here it is. So bring it in. Okay, I'm suffering. I don't want to do this anymore. It's horrible. I don't want to go through this ever again. What do I have to do to avoid this? That's suffer well. We're going to understand why this is happening, so we never get into that situation again. We want to get past this and forget about it, never again. So circumstances will come along the way that will give us the opportunity to understand why we are afflicted, meaning offsetting wrongdoings of the past, and from that point on to start making better choices until we get to make always the right choice. That would be us as perfect spirits way in the future. So these afflictions, or those afflicted, if I'm better saying, those afflicted have to be treated for their condition. They will be treated. Where do they go to be treated? To places like Earth. That's it. So in other words, the earth houses afflicted spirits. Think about a hospital, for example. If you walk into a hospital, it would make no sense at all if you say this, oh my God, this place has a bunch of illnesses and everybody's sick here. That's what a hospital is for. We shouldn't be surprised if we walk into a hospital and all we see are people being treated for diseases, illnesses, they're sick. That's what a hospital is for. So how come is there so much affliction on earth? For the same reason. Because the earth is the place for afflicted spirits. It's one of the places. You have several hospitals in a city that some of them specialize in certain things, others in other things. So it depends on the nature and the gravity of the illness. That's why you have different hospitals in the city. Same across the universe. We have different planets and orbs that will treat afflicted spirits, depending on the affliction, the level, the intensity, whatever. The earth is one of them. That's why The spirits tell Allan Kardec, the earth is not only for moral education, but it's also a hospital where you will have the opportunity to be treated, if you will. Now, being treated, it's a twofold because, say, for example, you are sick, you go to a doctor. The doctor says, okay, this is what you have. I'm going to give you this particular medicine. You take it in 3 days, you're all good. And you look at the doctor and says, I'm not going to take the medicine. Okay, it's free will. So we are here and we have the free will to say, this is a place for afflicted. I'm not afflicted. I'm not going to do what I'm supposed to. I'm going to continue to go against the law of God. It's a choice, free will. Now, the causes, what makes these things, these afflictions, worse is not only what we bring from the past, in past lives, but something or things that happen in this life. For example, calamities, tornadoes, hurricanes, mega storms, tsunamis, earthquakes, volcanic activity. These calamities, they cause a lot of affliction. And these are things that are taking place now in this life, for example. And they will cause affliction. Why? First of all, if we do not understand why we have such things as calamities, the fact that we don't understand by itself, it's already causing us affliction. It's already making us afflicted. And this tone of suffering, if we understand, and Spiritism is very clear about this, and we have done maybe 2 or 3 programs here under Spiritism, a closer look about calamities. So you can always go back on our YouTube channel or our Facebook and look at it, these past lives that we did. But these calamities, if they're not understood by us why they are happening, that's already one big step into being afflicted. Here's another one. So we're talking about things that create or make us afflicted even more for things that are happening now in this life. Another one, the loss of loved ones. Again, we have done maybe 2 or 3 lives about it. Losing someone that you love, of course, is not good. Nobody likes it. Of course, it would be inappropriate to even think about it. But losing somebody that we love will, in principle, cause afflictions. It's going to add another level of affliction to our pile of afflictions. So the loss of loved ones is something that we need to understand what it means, what we learned from, and why it's necessary for us and for them. And again, I recommend, we're not going to talk about it again here today because that's not the point, but we have done a couple of lives on our program here on this one. Here's another one that causes affliction, and this is a big one in today's society, wherever you are, doesn't matter. Cancel culture. Cancel culture is something that became like fashion. If you don't cancel culture people, you're not one of us. You're wrong in the society because it is so bad right now. And what happens is cancel culture breaks the basic idea of evolution, which is living with other people that are different from us, to learn from them and to teach them. When you cancel somebody, you just broke that. So there is no relation now with that particular person, group of people, whatever it is. And it doesn't matter the cause. It doesn't matter what is the cause. Of course, there are, causes that are obvious. For example, you just don't like somebody, and what you do is, even before you cancel, you can try to undermine the reputation of the person. And that's something interesting too. Let me say this. Reputation does not lies or does not live with the person you are talking bad about. Reputation is in you. It's just your opinion. That person has a character, and that is that person that you can change. You can change the reputation of a person by saying, oh, this guy was good, now he's bad. Or the other way around, he was bad, now I figured he's good. Right? But it's just your opinion, it's just a reputation. Going back to the example that we brought in the beginning, uh, somebody's gonna steal a cell phone. So if I accuse you of, stealing a cell phone, and you didn't, I didn't change your character, but I exposed mine. Isn't that interesting? Your reputation for me now is, oh, this guy is a thief. And you don't even know what I'm talking about because, of course, you didn't steal anything. So now, what is happening? There's a reputation living inside me about you, and they do not align because the reputation that I'm stating, the truth that I'm bringing about you, is not the truth of who you are. When reputation and character do not align, we are going to feel afflicted. That's all because we create things this way, right? Reputation is our opinion. Our opinion does not change the facts. If my opinion is that you, listening to me right now, that you did something and you didn't, it didn't change the fact. It didn't make you do it just because I'm willing to, or I would rather if you had done yourself. It's just my opinion. It's it's too small. It's too small to dethrone God. So we try to dethrone God with opinions. Wow, isn't that bad? How can a single opinion that I have dethrone God? So God now is wrong and I'm right. Divine justice is incorrect. My justice is perfect. Whatever I say, that's the truth. We very often we impose our truth on life. And when life proves me wrong, what a conflict. We are not the truth provider. We will never be the truth provider. Never. Trying to become or portray myself as the truth provider only makes me waste my vital fluid. It's me going against nature, going against the law of God, being afflicted all the time, being suffering all the time, being in pain all the time. And it's not going to happen. So the whole thing about afflictions is related to the level of advancement. The more advanced we are, the more we are in a position to understand all of this. That's why Jesus says, know the truth, and the truth will set you free. which we're going to develop this a little bit more next week. That's going to be the theme or the topic for next week. Know the truth, and the truth will set you free. It deserves some good 30 minutes for us to discuss and fully understand this. Going through afflictions is a personal process. First of all, it's a process. It's not going to end up in 3 seconds. No, it's a process. But it's personal and not transferable. Nobody can go through this for me. I cannot outsource affliction. All I have to do is be in line with the law of God. Being in line with the law of God or not being in line with the law of God depends on one thing: free will. Nothing else. Well, we have an interesting comment here from Gabrielle. You're right. It's rather interesting. That's why I always try to help, or at least to understand people who usually take drugs, which is a complicated thing itself. I do know how hard it is to stop taking this bad habit. Thanks a million for the advice. No, thank you, Gabriel, for sharing with us here. And drugs is very, very difficult. And again, those who were doing drugs one day and don't do that anymore, even if you still do, but you already figure out it's not the best thing ever, those are in position to help others who are going through a situation. And Gabriel says this: "Well, this one is so difficult. It's been 2 months. My mom has discarnated." I think he was talking about the loss of loved ones. "But thank God I'm a spiritist, so I can understand it." And you and I, Gabriel, as spiritists, and we understand it, it is our part in the creation to explain this and pass the teachings along to somebody else. So thanks for sharing that. And thank you, Linda, for participating with us here. And we will be here next week for another Spiritism, A Closer Look. 7:30 Wednesdays. We do this every week right here on Kardec Radio. Thank you so much, and I'll see you next time.